All right. Do a little bit of streaming. Let me get my chat open just so I can see any chats going on. All right. Chats are open. We're going to be doing just a little bit of painting here for a little bit. Nothing too extravagant. I'm hoping to finish out the samurai that we've been working on, and I'm going to be using the non-metallic metal gold. So I've got the triad from Reaper MSP Paints. You can see the gold shadow, the gold highlight, and the gold base. So I just put some fresh parchment paper in my wet palette. Just going to add a drop of each. Into, well, I didn't think this through and I don't have my paper towel. Let me grab, what we got, there we go. It's not ideal. I like to have an extra piece of paper towel here for cleaning the tips off before I put the lids on. Now I've already put these onto the vortex so they're nice and shaken up. And I'm going to be using my size 1 brush, and I'm also going to grab a size 0 just so I have it in case I need it. And the samurai, if you can see, just has some decorative bits that we need to go through and put on here, and then we're ready to seal it and start getting it ready to go on the base. We've started by pinning the miniature, which this one we pinned at ReaperCon as part of our class. So here we go, diving in, just doing a little bit of decorative painting. Now this part here is definitely, for me, one of the bigger challenges. Just because if I get the shakes a little bit, I can just make this a little more challenging than what I would prefer. Because we've done a really good, thorough, clean paint job, I want to do my best not to mess that up. Now I'm also going to do these little bits here. These are like rivets. We're going to do these in gold. Initially I was going to do them in grays like steel. However, I decided to not do that since we used gray as the color of the armor. Based on an actual samurai armor, a historical samurai armor that I absolutely fell in love with. And there's a little decorative piece here. the pommel here, along with part of the hilt. I know this may be a little challenging if you're watching to follow along because it moves around so much. But I'm hoping it's not so bad that you get lost. All I'm doing is looking for areas of decoration on the armor that will be in gold. And popping those in with this non-metallic metal base. And I start with the base and then move into the base in mid-tone blend, and then straight mid-tone, and then mid-tone and highlight blend, and then straight highlight. And depending on the figure, I may mix in another color with that highlight. For instance, a bright yellow, maybe a very bright light blue, a white, an off-white, just if I really need to have it shining. Tonight we start our new schedule. Where we are going to be covering regular topics. Tonight we kick off with some world building. And that'll be every Monday night. If you're into RPGs and GMing different game worlds, be sure to come and check us out. It's going to start at 8 Central Standard Time. And it'll go for just 1 hour. So it's not going to be a massive amount of your time that you'll need to invest. But there should be some great subjects, some good world building opportunities. Be maybe reviewing a little bit of material put out by Wizards. We'll see. So you can start to see that all being covered via paint. Clean that brush. I don't want any of the paint to dry in the bristles. So I want to clean it pretty regularly. Even when I'm using the same color. think I've got a good idea for the base of this miniature. Of course, it's not there yet. We've got to finish this paint tone. Finish this gold decorating. And then start talking about the base. But I want to have it very traditional looking. So I am going to be sculpting a tree, and it will be a cherry tree in blossom. Now this figure will be standing against, or near, not against, just near. Now you can see this color comes close to blending with the leather that we put down. That's okay. As we go through and work on the highlights, we'll get a lot more separation. Remember, this is just the parts that are in shadow on the gold. We'll be painting over a lot of this and reserving this color just for the deepest portions of this miniature. What a great miniature to paint. I had a lot of apprehension about this miniature initially, just because the details are so well sculpted, very defined, and a lot of details. The woven wicker bits on the armor. The wrapped handle on the katana. The decorative elements of the sachet. Excuse me. All very decorative. Bear with me 1 second. Oh, get that lung clean. Too much vape. And I think we'll, excuse me, one more little bit here I've got on this glove. That actually looks just like a leather wrap. So we're going to treat it as such. There. All right. So now that the base coat is down, I just want to go through and look. That top part there on the moon is a little thin. So with a thin layer, just going to go through and put on another coat. And with this miniature, I am going to be using, where is it? I think this block of wood here for the base. So it's got some interesting character on the side, and on this side some good grains. This one I like the best. We'll see how it cleans up. Now I've got to go through and sand this down and this down. This will actually be the lower part, so that when it's picked up it's got that little bit of character there. So you'd be looking at it from the front like that, maybe even diagonally. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I like that side though pretty well with that knotty area there. But we've got to go through, sand it, clean it up, of course, and then start building the base on the top. And what I'm thinking about doing is putting another miniature on this base with the samurai and a tree in the back, a cherry tree. And depending on the other figure that I use, and I've gone through a lot of different ideas. I've got some really cool undead samurai, so I thought about putting one of those in there, maybe with a couple of grave markers behind it, or like a torn up grave, like it came up out of the grave. But I have not decided that yet. I just know that this figure here is going to be here with a tree in the background. So that's the process that we've got after the figure is done and we start working on the base. So for mid-tone, low light, I'm mixing 50-50 of our non-metallic metal gold mid-tone with our non-metallic metal gold shadow. So this is going to brighten up those gold areas quite a bit. Still going with my size 1 brush. And same exact process that we're going to be doing. Oh, I see some areas that I missed, however. It will go right back in. To the katana. And I may not go in the same order. We will see. How it goes. The challenge with these is these like rivet areas are so small that leaving some of your shadow is quite a challenge. Knowing exactly where to layer paint. Be a little bit of a, I hate to say overwhelming, but it can be a little overwhelming. The easiest thing to do is use reference guides. When I first start a miniature, oftentimes I will go through and pop it in like Paint Shop so that I can play with the colors and see where are my highlights, where are my lowlights, where do I need to be bringing in the midtones so that I've got good tonal contrast but still good smooth transitions from the highs and lows. one thing you can also do is dry brush, and that will help pick out some of those details and just really allow you to lay in the colors as you need them. Now, the front area, I did not get the low tones, the shadow, so I'm going to pop those in now. That way, by the time I finish the helmet, I can go through and do this first mid-tone nice and easy. So here you got to start thinking about your light. Where's the light hitting and where's the shadow going to be? So for me, the shadow is going to be further to the back because the head of the figure is slightly like tilted up. And then low on these riser parts of the helmet. And then for the decorative top, we're going to start that up in here. Ooh, almost lost my cap there. And then, like our non-metallic metal, we have to decide where that light is hitting it and do some highlights and lowlights. Yeah. Now, as we move into our mid-tone, use just a little bit of that with the base mix. I'm going to thin this out a little bit. Ooh, wowzer. I'm just being a sloppy painter today. So this I'm going to use just on this moon decoration because I want more transition in on this element of the miniature. So I'm adding in another layer of more color so that my transitions are even stronger. Now I'm not doing that for the rest just because the smaller bits are way too small. Sometimes you can overcomplicate it by trying to do too much in too small of a space. Take a little excess off there. Again, thinking about where is our light hitting on this bit of armor. Most of the time it's going to be the areas that are either highest or furthest away where they are getting the most light. One area in this pauldron that I really want to make sure I get just a little bit right in here. Nice and strongly. Now while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and do this portion here. And again, with these bits of risers, I don't want to cover everything. I want those previous colors to show through. So we're getting tighter and tighter on what we're painting. Because that light source is going to be very focused. Now this midtone I am going to use on the rivet bits. trying to do just a hair. I don't want, I'd still love for the lower colors to show through. So trying to be very careful and only cover those lower little bits. Or the bits that are furthest out, they stick out the furthest. Yeah, losing it again. Part of the challenge of a pinned mini on a handle. I want to get a little bit of the hilt here. Make sure I've gotten everything. All right. Now we've got to get inside that decorative moon shape on the helmet. Again, this is going to be a tighter area. And we'll give that a bit to dry. But you can see the tonally changing, especially on the moon bit. You can see how that's starting to tonally change. Let me get a good view of that. I know it doesn't show great. But you can see the tonal changing from the dark to the lighter color. Now as we do the next tone, that is also a blend of our mid-tone and highlight. So that will only go on the moon decoration and a bit on the pauldron, and then into the highlight that we use to capture everything. And then depending on how that looks with that moon decoration, we may add just a touch of pure white to that to really make it real vibrant. We'll see. Check my time here because I've got a couple of appointments that I need to go get done today, so I gotta watch my time. Much as I would love to paint forever and a day, it is not realistic. Pardon me. All right, see? Right prior to our highlight tone, we are going to be popping on this blend. You can see I'm being very picky on where I kind of start laying in these tones. Then just a touch with some water, get a good nice flow, and start popping on some of this blend. I'm going to go ahead and do the hilt of the katana with this color, just because it is also a focal point, a focal area that we want people's eyes to really be drawn to. And the inside of the moon. And a lot more focused. Now we move into our highlight color. So our highlight color, I'm going to add 1 drop of water in and just thin it down a little bit more. Well, I do want the opacity here. I want it to flow nice and easy. And I'm going to attempt to do all the lower bits first. And then the decorative bit here. Just a hair on that hilt there. The hilt here and here. I've got these little rivet bits here and here. Here, here, here. I realize I missed that whole area there on the other tones, which is why a wet palette is so beneficial. So we'll go back and get those here in just a moment. Clean that brush good. I don't want anything drying in there. Into a little bit on that pauldron. This time I'm going to do the inner part first. And then onto the upper helmet. Oh, I missed that area as well. The rim of the upper helmet. All right, so what we want to do is go back to our midtones and start laying some of those in. So this one, I think we're going to keep it kind of center where the highlights will come. And then these lower areas here. And then into our midtone. Good thing about this is because these are small areas and we've already thinned our paints really well, they dry very quickly, so we can continue to paint pretty fast. Now what we'll have to do is the highlight tones. Get a good brush clean in there. I'm going to try, since these are a little bit bigger areas, I'm going to do the blended midtone and highlight. Just again for some more contrast color. And really just on these bits, so not the more strap parts. Give that a moment to make sure it dries nice. Even though we've got thin paints, we're at the final highlight now, so we want to just really take our time and do a good job on it. And then highlight. Just like that. Now we're just going to give them a good once over. I do see the pommel on that katana. Does not look finished. So we're going to go through and just give it some of the same treatment. This is that part where you want to go through and just look everything over. Does everything look good? I actually see one area that I want to touch up a little bit. And it almost looks like I just completely missed. Well, it doesn't almost look like that. It is something that I just completely missed. Use some orange. And there are ties down here. That should match the ties up above, and I missed them. So by going through and making sure I get these. And I'm going to use some of my highlight yellow just in that same orange to lighten it up. And then that's going to be my highlight. Bring a little more contrast onto those straps. Just like that. And we now have our samurai complete. All we got to do is seal it and then prep it for the base. Trying to I am going to do just a quick little blend of some white on that non-metallic metal gold. Nice and thin. And I am just going to give it a little bit of pop just on the moon. To make it even more vibrant. Just a hair. Yeah. All right. There we go. Golds are all done. I think it came out pretty decent. We've got the figure all ready to be sealed and then based. It was good to sit down and do a little bit of painting. If anybody was watching, I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to check out our schedule and watch when we're doing all kinds of different RPG content. And then, of course, catch us when we stream throughout the day randomly on the weekdays, week evenings, weeknights, weekends, and have a fantastic day.